Well, good evening, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to Right Way Living and Transformation. I'm your host, Martha Wright. Good evening and welcome. Welcome once again to this platform. I'm so glad to see you today. Today is Wednesday, and I just wanted to say something really important. This week is early voting, and this is the last week for early voting. So please get out there and vote. Your vote matters. Your vote matters. So please get out there and vote. Let's be the change makers here. Let's be the change makers in this world. Let's not be the ones that just criticize and talking about it, but let us be the doers and making a change and making things happen. And we do that by working together, coming together on one accord, getting out there and vote and making our vote count. Cause everybody that gets out there and vote, your vote counts and it matters. So please get out there and vote. Early voting, and then the regular voting is, I think it's next week. But please get out there and vote. Your vote matters. I wanted to talk to you today very quickly. Just a word of encouragement. I try to give a word of encouragement as much as possible. I want to talk to you about praying and not giving up. Praying and not giving up. And if you look in Luke chapter 18, it talks about the parable of the persistent widow. And here we had Jesus was telling his disciples about a parable to show them that they should always pray and not give up. And as Jesus was talking to his disciples, he speaks to us in the same way to pray and not give up. You know, the word of God tells us to pray without ceasing. Now, sometimes, and really, it gets hard sometimes. I'm not going to say it's just going to be easy and everything going to turn out, you know, um, just as you expected. But God knows what's best for us. And so he tells us to pray and don't give up. Sometimes it's so easy for us to give up. When things not going our way, we're not getting the job that we want. Our finances not going in the way that it should. Um, our marriage is going to pieces. We haven't found the right man or the right woman in our lives. I mean, all types of issues, all types of situations and circumstances come in our path. But we have to continue to pray and not to give up. And the only way I feel is that we pray and not give up is that's when faith comes in. We have to have the faith. If we have it, as the word tells us, as small as a mustard seed. A mustard seed is very small. And if we had just a little bit of faith, we know that our prayers will be answered. It may not be answered in the timing that we wanted to, the way we wanted to, but it's going to be for our benefit and it's going to turn out for the best way for us. So he told his disciples, he was giving them an example of a widow, how she was persistent in going to this unjust judge trying to get help. She had a problem. She had an issue. It didn't say what the problem was, what she was going to see, what she needed to go to the judge for. But it said in a certain town there was a judge who neither feared God nor cared what people thought. So this sounded like this was a arrogant, self-centered person, right? He didn't fear God. He didn't care what the people thought. It sounded like he was just all for himself. And it says, and there was a widow in that town who kept coming to him with a plea: grant me justice against my adversary. See, it didn't say what it was, but she was just asking just to grant me justice against whatever she was going through. It must have been a hard problem. And just think about it. She was a widow woman, right? She was a widow woman. She probably didn't have any children. Her husband was gone. And she had to fight her case on her own by herself. Now think about that. How many times have you had to fight a case on your own by yourself? You feel so alone. You feel like nobody's there. You feel like nobody hearing you. Nobody knows what you're going through but you, you know? And you're about to give up. You're about to throw in a towel. You've been praying. You've been searching. You've been seeking. And nothing is happening. Nothing is happening. How many of us feel like that? I know I've been there, done that. Hey, I've been there, done that. And it says to pray without ceasing. And sometimes you're just like, oh Lord, I done prayed enough. I'm not getting an answer. Come on, Jesus, come on. You wanting something to happen immediately, right? So listen what happens here. For some time, this judge, he refused the lady. He would refuse her. He said, but finally he said to himself, even though I don't fear God or care what people think, yet this widow keeps bothering me, I will see that she gets justice so that she won't eventually come and attack me. See, right here it told you, it kind of shows you that he was self-centered, right? Because he was thinking about himself. I don't fear God, I don't care about people, but I don't want her to come back and retaliate on me. He kept refusing her and rejecting her, and I'm just putting myself in that widow's place. She probably was going day by day, pleading to this judge. He didn't care. He didn't care about God. He didn't care about others. He probably didn't care about himself. And he probably was just, he mocked her, laughed at her, talked about her. And it's no telling what he did. But look what he did afterwards. After a while, she just continued to be persistent. She continued to go to him. Because she was determined to get her answer. She was determined to get what she needed. Sounds like faith to me, right? She wasn't giving up. She wasn't giving up at all. And then it said, and the Lord said, listen to what the unjust says. Listen to what the unjust judge says. And will not God bring about justice for his chosen ones who cry out to him day in and day out? Will he keep putting them off? So the unjust judge was saying this. He was like, wouldn't God bring about justice to his chosen one? To this woman? Wouldn't he bring justice to her? He said, when she crying out day and night, will he not answer her prayers? Same thing with us. We praying to God day in and day out. Will he not hear us? Will he not listen to us? Will he not answer our prayers? So if the judge knew this, what God would do, excuse me here. If the judge knew what God would do to the chosen ones, shouldn't we as well know that our God will answer our prayers, that he will be there for us? He said, will he keep putting them off? God is not a God that's going to continue putting us off. We can pray. I can say, God, I need your help. And Martha, I ain't got time for you. Go on about your business. I'm not listening to you. I got jillions of other people to help. You're on your own. But we don't serve a God like that. We don't serve a God like that. So he said, will he keep putting them off? He said, I tell you, he will see that they get justice and quickly. This is what the judge said. This is what God would do. He wouldn't put them off. He said he wouldn't, even though they cried to him day in and day out, he would give them what they need. Wouldn't he do that? Now, this is a man that didn't care about God, didn't care about people, but he knew what God would do. So he said, now if he would do that, if God would do that, he would see that they get justice. And listen, he said, and he see that they get justice quickly. Quickly. Let me stop right there. God will give us what we need. God will give us what we want. And he will give it to us quickly. It may seem like it's forever, but he's an on-time God. He may not come when we want him to come. Y'all know the song, but he's an on-time God. So he's going to give it to us quickly. So this is what the judge was saying. Well, God did that. I need to do that as well. But here, the last sentence, I want you to listen. It says, however, when the Son of Man comes, which is Jesus, when the Son of Man comes, will he find faith on earth? Now, what was he asking? What was Jesus asking? When the Son of Man comes, will he find faith on earth? Will he find us praying and not giving up? Will he find us keeping the faith? Will he find us not doubting, but believing that it will come to pass? what would he find? What would he find out when he come to earth? So he's telling us, as he told his disciples, to pray and not lose heart. To pray and not lose heart. And as I said earlier, it gets hard sometimes. It gets rough sometimes. Sometimes you might need a accountability partner. Somebody that's going to stand with you in your prayer. Somebody that's going to encourage you. Sometimes, y'all, we have to just encourage ourselves. But to continue praying, continue believing, continue having faith, continue trusting, and know that God, He said He'll never leave us, nor will He forsake us. So pray and don't lose heart. Pray and don't give up. Don't give up. I just have to say this. So many people, there's been so many that I know that have given up to the point of taking their lives. If you know somebody that's to that point, and maybe it's you, maybe you feel like, I can't go no more. I can't take no more. Please, please seek help. Seek help. I'm not saying not to pray. Sometimes you have to just go a little bit farther. Maybe it's a minister, a pastor you can go and talk to, counseling, whatever it may be. But please don't lose heart. Don't lose hope. Don't give up. Don't give in. Seek some help, please. Pray. Don't lose heart. Don't give up. I'm Martha, and welcome again to Right Way Living and Transformation. I hope this may help you today. Go back and read this chapter for yourself, and remember to pray and don't give up. Bye-bye, y'all.